Welcome back to Warriors Talk with your host, Lady Rochelle, where we move away from awareness towards action. Tonight's episode is a heart-to-heart because there are some things that survivors learn after the diagnosis that no pamphlet prepares you for. And tonight I'm sharing what I've learned as a survivor that no one tells you. So go ahead and grab your tea, your water, and your journals, and let's talk about it. What I learned as a survivor. So let's just jump right into the conversation. And we're going to talk about some of the unwritten lessons as a result to what they don't tell you as a survivor. Let's talk about the expectation of people expecting you to bounce back. When you're done with a cancer diagnosis, the first thing people want to say is, oh, you look so great, you should be doing X, Y, Z, and they begin to compare you with other people. But know that healing does not have a deadline, but it's a journey. And your journey may look different from the next person. So never compare your journey, your healing to someone else's, but know that your bounce back is going to look how it should look as it relates to you and the time that you have put into getting yourself back to where you need to be that's comfortable for you. So don't allow someone to tell you what their expectation is for you as it relates to when you should be bouncing back. And bouncing back looks different for everyone. Know that the activities that you did before, the amount of energy that you had before, may look a little bit different now that you're on the other side of survivorship. Number 2, what I've learned about survivorship that no one tells you, that survivor doesn't mean that you're done healing. Nope, it just means that you're done with the treatment and now you're on the opposite side of treatment. For some people who may have a different diagnosis, they may be in treatment for the rest of their lives. And so survivor doesn't mean that you're done healing. The battle may end, but the process continues, and physical, mentally, and emotionally looks different for everyone. So again, don't compare yourself when it comes to survival and what healing should look like. The expectation to perform a certain way because you used to perform that way. Look a certain way. Because at one point you may not have looked the way you looked now. You may not even recognize that person that you're looking at in the mirror. Number 3, gratitude and grief can exist at the same time. You can be thankful to be alive, but you can also mourn the person that you were. You can mourn the person that you were. And you can also have what we call survivor's remorse. You're still here. Someone that you love, that you knew, that you were supporting, that you were rooting for, may not be here, and now you have survivor's remorse. So sometimes you could be grateful to be here, grateful that you were able to get through the treatment and that you have come out on the other side, but then you're grieving what your life was and your body was like before this treatment. And you're also grieving because you have lost other people that have fought this fight and now they're no longer here. These are things that people don't tell you about the cancer diagnosis, but these are things that I have learned and other survivors have learned going through their cancer diagnosis. When it comes to ringing the bell, people don't tell you that there's an aftermath that comes along with once you ring that bell, right? You ring the bell and you're excited, your family is there, they're celebrating with you. But there is a responsibility, there's a weight that comes after ringing that bell. Now what am I supposed to do? That I'm not going to be supervised anymore. I'm done with treatment. Now you're expected to make your own appointments because before you had a nurse navigator and now that nurse navigator is no longer available to you. So you're having to keep up with your own appointments. You're having to make sure that you have, depending on the insurance you have, that you have the referrals that you need to make sure that you are seeing the right specialist and that your insurance is going through. If you don't have enough insurance, you're being told, what to do, and now you're out here on your own. Know that it's a learning process. Survivorship is a learning process. Once you're done with treatment, it's a learning process, and you're on the opposite side of treatment. Now, this is a whole different category that you're in, and you have to learn how to live with it. Number 4, your body may feel unfamiliar, and guess what? It's okay. Learning to love yourself again is a part of the recovery process. Again, I say you may look at yourself in the mirror and not even recognize who that person is. And you're like, wow, this is how I used to look. I loved how I used to look. And now I have to get used to this person. And you don't even know who that person is. So just learn to love who you are and where you are. And don't beat yourself up about it, right? With a cancer diagnosis, it comes physical changes with your body, whether it be your breast, whether it be you losing your hair, whether it be you losing weight. There are different things that will go on with your physical health that you may not have any control over. Then again, there's some things that you may have control over. You have control over if you want to get a double mastectomy or not, whether you want to go flat or get reconstructive surgery, whether you want to do a lumpectomy, even when it comes to individuals who get their breasts removed and get reconstructive surgery, if you want to get nipples tattooed on the breast. Like, there's so many different things that we don't talk about as it relates to a cancer diagnosis and the physical changes that it brings on. And the scars, if you had fat removed from different parts of your body to put inside of your breast, now you have scars in those places. Like, learn to love yourself for who you are and for where you are at the time. And know that when it comes to healing, it's a recovery process. And sometimes you're constantly and forever recovering. It's not an overnight process. Ooh, this is one where you outgrow people, right? And there's nothing you can do about it. Because going through a cancer diagnosis, sometimes people eliminate themselves from your life because they cannot witness you go through such a horrific time in your life. It scares them because it allows them to face their own mortality. and so they don't want to see it, and so they choose to remove themselves, and it's okay. Some people just can't get used to the new version of who you are, right? So then they walk away, and it's okay. You don't have to feel like you have to chase people. With growth, it requires you sometimes to release some things or release some people. And sometimes in loss, it reveals who was really meant to stay. So don't beat yourself up about it. Embrace it and know that you're going to come out better on the opposite side when you have people in your circle, in your life, that's genuinely there to support you, to love you, and they just want the best for you. Know that when it comes to healing is not linear, right? It's not like a straight line. With a cancer diagnosis, it could be. It's not a straight line, right? You're not going to go straight. It's when it comes to recovery, emotionally, mentally, sometimes it could be unpredictable. Sometimes it could be complex. You can have setbacks. You can have withdrawals. You can have unexpected detours when it comes to a cancer diagnosis and your survivorship. So don't beat yourself up about it if your recovery is not going in a straight line, but you're having some dips, right? You're having some peaks and some valleys, some ups and some downs, and it happens. Don't beat yourself up about it. Keep focused on moving forward. And sometimes with a cancer diagnosis, we have to sit in silence, right? And strength can be birthed out of silence because you're taking that time to sit back and reflect on what's happening. And sometimes you have to sit in your discomfort in order to grow, right? In order to figure out what it is that God wants you to get from this experience. So sometimes it's not all about talking about your diagnosis, talking about what you're going through. Sometimes you need that quiet time to sit and think and reflect on what you're going to do moving forward. So if you have to take a time out, take the time out and don't feel bad about it. Number 6 is remember that rest is not a weakness, but it's wisdom. Oh my God, you just went through these chemicals being pumped into your body, right? You just been cut on. Mentally, your mind is all over the place. It's in chaos. You deserve to rest. Don't feel bad. Don't beat yourself up about it. Give yourself that time to rest. Give yourself that time to, sometimes you have to remove yourself from people and refresh yourself. And because sometimes people can weigh on you and they can be negative but not meaning to be negative, and sometimes it can weigh on you when you're in a positive state. So sometimes you have to rest your mind as well as your body. And so don't feel bad. Know that it's wisdom in rest. Learn how to listen to your body, because your body can become your survival skills. It's going to tell you what it needs, and you just have to listen to it and not feel bad for taking time for yourself. Sometimes the things that felt urgent, now they don't, right? They no longer feel urgent, and it's okay, because that's growth. That means you're knowing what's important to you and what's not, and what's feeding you and what's not, and it's okay. It's okay. What I've learned as a survivor that no one tells you is that fear shows up in new ways. There's going to be fear that shows up when you have to go and get a scan, right? You're sitting there in the doctor's office and you're waiting for your name to be called. They're prepping you before scans, and you get scan anxiety because you're like, oh my God, what if they find something? I don't want to be diagnosed all over again. Like, there's a new fear that comes with, now I'm done with treatment, and now I have to get these scans every so often. You may have an ache. Fear shows up in an ache, and it may not even have nothing to do with cancer. But every time you get an ache, you're going to be like, oh my God, is this cancer coming back? What is this? You may have a fear that shows up in a new way when you have a milestone, right? Maybe you reach your 5 years as a cancer survivor. Maybe you reached a milestone with a year from today ago you had surgery. There's different milestones that come in your life to where it can bring about fear and kind of maybe try to paralyze you from moving on. But fear doesn't mean that you're weak. It just means that you're human. You're human. So don't beat yourself up about it. Just know that in fear, fight through the fear. If you got to push through fear and keep moving, then do that. Don't allow it to paralyze you. I'm going to skip over to number 9. Know that your story becomes someone else's lifeline, right? I always encourage people to share their stories, and sometimes you may not be ready to share your story at this time, and that's fine. Sometimes you can share it with one person. You don't necessarily have to share it with the world. You don't necessarily have to start a podcast, but you should share your story because somebody else needs to hear that testimony. God did not leave you here for you to keep it to yourself. So even if it means sharing it one-on-one, do that. Because healing gives you a voice, right? It gives someone else a voice as well. And believe it or not, your voice has purpose. So share your story with someone because it's not only healing for you, but it's also healing for someone else. Know that survivorship comes with expectations, right? We talked about when people ring that bell, we don't talk about what happens after that. People are expecting you to get back to your old self. When you go to work, your boss is expecting you to perform how you perform, right? You're expected to do all these things. If you're a wife, your husband is expecting you to do wifely duties. Your children are expecting you to do motherly duties, right? There's so many expectations being put on you, and you just got done going through this horrific treatment. And just because the outside looks well does not mean that the inside is well, right? The inside is still constantly healing, even though the outside looks well and it looks like you healed and it looks like you've gotten back to your old self. But sometimes the inside just needs a little time to catch up. And don't be afraid to say, I need a little bit more time. Or, I'm not ready to come back, full throttle. I need some time. It's okay to advocate for yourself. It's okay. Don't feel pressure to be strong all the time. You don't have to be, especially going through a cancer diagnosis. Don't feel the pressure to be strong. Have you ever felt the pressure to be strong all the time? That's the question. Have you ever felt that pressure to be strong all the time? And if you have, I'm going to tell you to, when you feel it, take a step back, be vocal about it, and reset yourself. Reset yourself. Don't feel pressure. And then have you struggled with who you have become after survival? I guarantee you are not going to be the same person after your cancer diagnosis. You're not going to be the same person. Your outlook on life is going to be totally different. Yes, you're going to have a new appreciation for life, but you're going to look at things differently. You're going to weigh things differently, and some things you're not going to want to participate in or be a part of because you want to protect and preserve your peace. And it's okay. Have you ever felt alone even when you are surrounded by people? And you're just like, they don't get me, right? You feel like, oh, I'm really in this by myself. And sometimes you just have to surround yourself with like-minded people who have been where you are. You know, sometimes you can't run in the same circle. Sometimes you have to put people in categories and deal with them accordingly. And just remember that going through a cancer diagnosis, you're not broken, but you're becoming something and someone new, different, with a purpose that God has set aside for you. And the reason why you are going through this cancer diagnosis is because it's going to serve a purpose to bring Him glory. And if you want to know what it is, then you have to talk to Him. Talk to Him about it. What I've learned as a survivor that no one tells you. Let's talk about what survivors need, right? What we don't need is more t-shirts, more ribbons, and more one-time events. We don't. We don't need it. It brings about awareness. But again, what are you doing with that awareness? What have you done after October? Right? You wearing a t-shirt? Are you still wearing the t-shirt, the pink t-shirt? Are you still wearing the ribbons? Like the one-time event that you went to, did you learn anything? Did you take action? Most of us can't even remember. What we do need is we need mental health access. Yes, we do. Mental health access. This should be parallel with physical health, right? The mental, you should be going through a mental health just as well as they put together a plan for you to go through treatment. There should be a plan for you to keep your mental health intact. Long-term care. Stop cutting survivors off after treatment and not giving them a realistic survivorship care plan, which many of us don't get, and we're left on our own to search and figure it out for ourselves or figure it out through other survivors, when that shouldn't be our job. It should be part of the plan that we just went through. There should be some type of financial guidance as it relates to a cancer diagnosis, especially for those who don't have insurance or the lack of insurance, being underinsured, or just need a little financial help to get you over the bridge until you can breathe again after your cancer diagnosis financially. You shouldn't have to go into debt with a cancer diagnosis. Community support. There should be community programs that you can attend that offer support. And I'm not just talking about support groups, but I'm talking about community programs where they're offering resources for cancer survivors and those who are entering survivorship. The community should be there to help you. And take sometimes we don't even take advantage, I don't want to say advantage, but we don't take advantage of or utilize support that's in our community. Do that. Reach out to them. See what programs are going on. Call your local clinic and say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. Do you know of any programs? Use your community, because advocacy means that you're advocating for yourself, but it also continues after the fight. It continues after you ring that bell. It continues after a cancer diagnosis. So I want to give you some call to actions as it relates to what I've learned as a cancer survivor that no one tells you, that no one talks about. Number one, this is your call to action. Check in on a survivor. If you know a cancer survivor who's in treatment, been through treatment, I don't care how long they've been out of treatment, check on them. Call them. Tell them you're thinking about them. See how they're doing, right? And don't start talking about how you're doing, but actually ask them, how are they really doing? And then listen. Listen to them, right? So that's two. Number one, check on the survivor. Number one is check on the survivor as your call to action. Your second call to action is to ask them, how are you really doing? And number three is support programs that serve survivors year round, like Warriors Talk, like Equal Hope, like the different programs that are in your area. I'm in the Illinois area, Chicagoland area. All you have to do is get on the internet, Google, and the programs will come up. We have the Cancer Network, different the cancer treatment support groups that you can find, look up, and you can utilize, that are doing things all year round. You have the We Care 2 agency, Sisters Working It Out. These are different agencies that are doing stuff all year round. The Cancer Support Group, but I know they changed their name from the Cancer Support Group. But you can look these groups up on the internet in your area that can help you with different programs beyond treatment as you enter into survivorship. Now I want to highlight my sponsor, which is Pastor Michael Richardson with the Emmanuel Church of God in Christ, who has been sponsoring Warriors Talk since the beginning. And I'm grateful for them believing in Warriors Talk and just helping us to provide ongoing education and advocacy for individuals who are dealing with cancer and beyond.
Greetings, I am Pastor Michael Richardson.
And I am First Lady Anastasia Richardson from the Emmanuel Church of God in Christ. We're located at 3058 West Van Buren in Chicago, Illinois. We are building upon a solid foundation.
And we're inviting you to join us every Sunday morning on Facebook Live at Emmanuel Kojic at 10:15 Central Standard Time. And you can also view our videos on our YouTube channel at Emmanuel Kojic-MR. Once again, this is Pastor Michael Richardson
and First Lady Anastasia Richardson, and we're from the Emmanuel Church of God in Christ. We are building upon a solid foundation.
Now, as I bring this episode to a close, survivorship teaches you lessons that no textbook can. It reshapes your priorities, your boundaries, and your faith. What no one tells you is that healing doesn't stop when treatment ends, but it evolves. So if you're watching tonight and you're still trying to figure it out, know this: you're not behind, you're becoming. So take what you have learned, honor where you are, and keep moving forward one honest step at a time. Remember, survivorship is not the end of the story. It's the next chapter. I'm Lady Rochelle of Warriors Talk, and we don't just raise awareness, we take action.